Hello dear students, welcome to the video tutorial of class 7th science, and we are going to learn about nutrition in plants. This is the part second of this chapter. In this video we have to discuss about the heterotrophic nutrition. What are heterotrophic nutrition? Especially in plants, in which we have to learn about the following four types of heterotrophic modes of nutrition. The first one is parasitic plants, second saprophytic plants, third insectivorous plants, and the fourth symbiotic plants. So these are the different types of plants categories, and we have to discuss them in detail in this chapter. Heterotrophic nutrition in plants. So what do you mean by the term heterotroph? Students, hetero means, what does it mean? Other. And trophos or the trophic terms relate to the nourishment. That means taking nourishment from the other sources, right? So heterotrophic nutrition is a type of nutrition in which the organisms depend upon the other organisms for food to survive, right? And in this category we human beings are also, we are also heterotroph, but here in this chapter we have to discuss about the how heterotrophic nutrition is follows in plants. So we know that plant perform or they can prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis, but how they will be heterotrophic, that means they are also able to get their nutrition from the other sources, like from insect, from dead and decaying matters, and from other things, but not directly they are preparing their own food. So heterotrophic organisms have to take in all the organic substances that need to survive. And they get it from the other sources or other organisms. Like if you are talking about the heterotrophic organisms, so basically that means we are talking about the plants in this, so plants, and that means they are take in all the organic substances. Organic substances means the food which are necessary for the growth and development of these types of plants. So they need organic substances to survive, and they get it from the other organisms. And also in this category all animals, in animals we are also included. So, and here the fungi, non-photosynthesizing plants, that means those plants who are not able to perform the process of photosynthesis, that means they are not able to prepare their food. It may be due to the absence of the chlorophyll pigment, which is necessary for the process of preparing food. So these types of plants are in the category of heterotrophic. And here in contrast, green plants, red algae, brown algae, and cyanobacteria are all autotrophs. Autotrophs, that means these examples, that means the green plants, red alga, brown alga, or cyanobacteria, they are autotrophs. That means they are preparing their own food. They are able to prepare their own food and which use photosynthesis. So there is only one way to prepare their own food for the plant, that is the photosynthesis. So in the presence of sunlight. So this is all about the heterotrophic nutrition in plants. So the next is types of heterotrophic nutrition. So what are the different types? The first one is parasitic plants. So in parasitic plants, saprophytic plants, insectivorous plant and symbiotic plants. So these are the four categories of plants that they are not preparing their own food. Okay, they are not preparing their own food, and in this part we have to talk about them in detail. So the first one is parasitic plant. So what do you mean by the term parasitic plants? So these are the non-green plants which live on other living organisms and obtain their food from them are called parasitic or parasites. Derive its food is called the host. Here students, two terms are written. Okay, first one is parasite and the second one is host. So these two words are very important to understand the parasitic plant. The first one is parasite. So what does it mean? Parasites are those organisms which are dependent on the other organisms, right? And they are taking their nutrition from the other organisms or from other sources directly or indirectly. And also that organisms which gives nutrients to these parasites are known as host. Okay, so in this parasitic plants, the parasites are the plants and the host, these are maybe of animal, they may be animal or plant, whatever the source, but here the parasite is taking its nutrition from the host body. And also at the end of the time, these parasites may kill the host body when it will take in or suck in all the nutrients from the host body. At the end of this process, the host will die. So the parasitic plant produce root-like structures. Okay, these are the root-like structures called hosteria. So hosteria is what? These are root-like structure but not the real root. Okay, they do not have xylem or phloem, or you can say vessels to take nutrition and circulate it throughout the body. They have hosteria. These are fine thread-like structures. Okay, and they are penetrating the host body, connect its vasculatures and facilitate the exchange of materials such as all the food materials like water, nutrients, okay, and pathogen between the host and the parasites, and between the any plants simultaneously parasitized even unrelated plant species. So hosteria, with the help of this fine thread-like structure, or you can say a root-like structure, these hosteria help these parasites to suck in the nutrients or water from the host body. The example of this parasitic plant is Cuscuta plant. So what does it means? So here Cuscuta is also known as dodar, or you can say as a amarbel. Okay, in Hindi it is known as amarbel plant. So this species is firmly well known as in parasitic plant group. That means these species are taking their nutrition from the sources from the tree, and also they do not have leaf, while they are massive yellow leafless veins. Okay, they are only vein like structure, they do not have leaves, and these veins are climbed on the host body. Host body means on the trees where they are taking their nutrition. So these bodies, these leafless veins are once climbed on the tree or on the host body, they start sucking all the nutrients from the body, and this process is done through the structure, that is the host area. So what does the host area do? It will just penetrate into the stem of these hosts and siphon of their water and nutrients, often to the point of host death. That means the host, there is a chance that host may be at the end of the process, it may be dead. Thereafter, this species they do not have chlorophyll, or if they have, then that is not sufficient to run the whole plant body. So therefore, they start taking nutrition from the other sources. But when they are in the stage of seedling, or when they are very young, then at that stage they have roots, okay, they have roots. But once they start climbing on the tree or on host body, the roots get degenerated. That means they will get eliminated from the plant body. Now they do not require root system, because they have well developed host area, and that is when run throughout the plant body or the host body, they will take their nutrition. They do not require the soil for this purpose. And that is why they are known as parasites. Here you can see the image of the Cuscuta plant, where they are leafless, okay. These plants, they are leafless, they do not have leaf. These leaves are not of this dodder plant, okay, they are of somewhat other plant. And here this vein like structures which you are seeing here, these are the structures of the Cuscuta plant, or you can say a dodder plant, okay. And also they have other structures, like they have flowers. So once the flowers get blossoms in this veins, they will transfer into, when flowers they are formed, they will transfer, or they are generating seeds, okay. So when these seeds get germinated, they will generate a new plant, having root system. They have root when they are seedling, but once they start climbing on the host body, this root system get degenerated. So this is the structure of the Cuscuta plant. Thereafter we have saprophytic plants. So in this category, what type of plants are there? Saprophytic, these type of plants, they are dependent on other sources, but these sources may be live, or they are may be of non-living type, like they get their nutrition from the dead and decaying matter, okay. So saprophytic plants, these plants, they will take their nutrition from the dead sources, from dead and decaying matter, right. So the saprophytic plants are those plants that does not have chlorophyll. So as you can see here, they also do not have chlorophyll. That means they are not performing photosynthesis, okay. Again, this plant, they do not have the capacity to perform the function of photosynthesis, and that is why they are taking their nutrition from the dead matters, and this is similar to bacteria and fungi, because these two sources, these two organisms, they are also taking their nutrition from the dead matters, those matters who are in the process of degenerating. That means their all organic content are now rich source of carbon or other minerals, so that these plants are now able to take their nutrients directly through the process, through the structure called hyphae. So what is hyphae? We will talk about it in the next slide. So here you can see the structure of fungus. So this fungus is grown on the wood. Okay, so this is the wood, and this wood on which this fungus are grown. But here you can see that this wood is in the process of decaying. Okay, that means this is the best place for the growth of the fungus. Fungus is well developed or well grow in the on moist condition. So moisture content as well as dead matter is very important. So dead matter is also very important, from where these fungus can take their nutrition very easily. Okay, they have the structure called hyphae, which is specialized for the process of taking that type of nutrition from the host body or from on which they are growing. So this is also the example of fungus. Here you can see very common mushroom. This is the hyphae or the hypha. Okay, so these are the root like structure. These are hyphae are the root like structure, right? Root like structure which perform the same function, but they are not like root in structural composition. Functionally they are like root. Like here you can see that they are growing downward as the root do, but also they are fine thread like. They are fine thread like structures which are used by the fungus to take its nutrition from the dead matters. From dead matter. Here you can see the activity 1.4, in which you will learn that how you can grow the fungus on a bread, as here. So what you have to do, you just have to take a slice of bread, and on a glass plate, what you have to do, just take the slice of bread on a glass plate and moisture it. That means you have to pour 2 to 3 drops of water on the bread slice, and thereafter you have to keep it on a warm place. Okay, as I have told you already that warm temperature is important for the growth of these type of hyphae. So you have to keep the bread at a warm place and cover it with a lid of petri dish or bell jar. That means you have to cover it properly so that the moisture remains there. Thereafter we have leaves it for, and also just these fungus are not grown immediately. Okay, you have to give time for the growth of these types of fungus, and at least 2 to 3 days are required. And also as the days goes, this fungus will growing, and also they are showing the cottony growth. Okay, cotton like growth, you can observe it under by your naked eyes even. So these structures you can observe it as a cotton like structures. They are now grown or germinated on the bread. Now observe the cottony growth with a magnifying glass. So when you observe it by a magnifying glass under a microscope, so what you will get the structure of hyphae. Okay, the fine thread that I was talking about, now you will able to see it under the microscope. Also the cottony growth and the thread are of a fungus called bread mould. Okay, so this fungus that grows on bread, they are also known as bread moulds. Right, so do this activity at your home. This is very simple. Just you have to maintain the warm temperature, and also keep the bread under cover situation, cover it and place it at a dark place. Okay, so darkness is also required for the growth of this type of fungi. Thereafter we have insectivorous plant. So as the name suggests, these are insectivorous plant. So what does this mean? Insectivorous plant, that means insect, and vorous means eaters. So that means those plants that are capable of eating insects, they are known as insectivorous plant, and they are eating insect or other organism. That is why they are known as carnivorous also. So carni means meat and vorous means eater. So that means they are also meat eater, or you can say that insectivorous plant. So this is very interesting. These are very interesting plants that they are able to digest the nutrients from the insect or from the other sources, other animals. So they are the plants that derive some or most of their nutrients from trapping and consuming animals or protozoans, typically insect and other arthropods. So these are the arthropods, means these are the category of those animals whose pods, that means whose feet, pods means feet, whose feet, and arthro means joint. So those organisms whose feet are joined, so they these type of this insectivorous plant, they are also able to digest the arthropods also. And here, so that is why they are known as insectivorous plant. And also they have digestive juice inside it. They have digestive juice, as our stomach or intestines secrete digestive juice to digest our food materials. In the same way, these plants, they also have digestive juice, so that these insects, they are easily digest them. And here you can see this plant is known as Nepenthes or pitcher plant. Okay, so there is a flap like structure and this is pitcher like structure. So that is why this plant are known as pitcher plant. And once the insect goes inside the body of this pitcher, the flap will get closed. Okay, so these insects now not able to move out from this pitcher like structure, and ultimately the wall of this pitcher like structure start releasing digestive juice, and this digestive juice start digesting the insect or the other organism's body which are inside it. And at the end of this process, they will absorb all the nutrients, and this process is proceeded for the next insect. These insectivorous plant, they are grown specially in the area where the nutrient quality or quantity is very low, and that is why they are forced to take their nutrition from the animal sources. Okay, so especially this pitcher plant is grown in northeast region of India. They are found in northeast region of India, where the nutrient quality, especially the nitrogen quantity, is very less, and that is why these plants are forced to take the nitrogen from the insects or from the other organisms that goes inside this pitcher like structures. So thereafter we have bladderwort. This is also a kind of insectivorous plant. As you can see here, these plants keep on floating in the water, and they are rootless. They do not have root. They are rootless. That means they are keep on floating on the surface of the water. Thereafter we have these in the first image, as you can see here, there are bubble like structure that are found on the on this plant, okay, and also they have fine leaf, okay. The leaf of bladderwort, they are fine leaf. That means they are not probably a very good producer. If the leaves are broadened, that means their photosynthesis is performed very easily and they will get their food in good quantity. But here the leaves are fine, that means they face some difficulty in preparing their food through sunlight. So in this bubble, what will happen? These bubbles are of mucilaginous. They are of mucus, okay. So this is the mucus, that means they are very sticky material, and once the insect comes in contact with these type of bubbles, they will enter into the bubble, and this bubble have a opening, okay. There is an opening present on this bubble, and that opening, once the insect goes inside it, it will closed. So there is no chance to get out from that bubbles, and within a few minutes the digestion process is started, and within very less time, this insect will get completely digested into the bubble like structures, okay. So these are the bubbles which are mucilaginous, and also these mucilaginous bubble, their walls secretes digestive juice. So these are secreting digestive juice, so that this process is facilitated very easily. So here you can see these have a very beautiful flowers also, which help in trapping the insect, okay. Insects get attracted to these flowers, and once they will get in contact with this plant will start its process of trapping the insects. Not only insects, but all the organisms that have very less size, and that goes through this pore of that bubble like structures. So habitat of carnivorous plant, habitat means the place where they are living, okay. So here the insectivorous plants, they generate energy from photosynthesis. The carnivorous plant, okay. Carnivorous plant, that means I have already told you, the carnivorous plant, they are able to eat other organisms, animals also, and here they have adopted some places, okay. That means this the pitcher plant, these plants, as I have already taught you, that this pitcher plant, they are grown in the area where the nitrogen content in the soil is very less. So they are specially made for that area. Suppose in the north region, where the mineral sources are very good, the land of this north region is very good, there are mineral content. But the northeast region, where the nutrients are very less, like especially the nitrogen, the source of nitrogen, there is very less in the soil, so that once the insectivorous plant is grown in that area, they require their nutrition, but this will not be fulfilled by that soil. So these plants are forced to get their nutrition from the insects, which are the good source of nitrogen. So they have developed the capacity to germinate in very few or localized places. And also they are not grown in the Antarctic region and also in the Pacific island, because there there is very less chance for the development of this type of plants. Eating mechanisms in Drosera plant. This Drosera plant is also a kind of insectivorous plant because they are also eating insect or digesting insect. As you can see here, this is the whole structure of Drosera. Okay, so this is Drosera plant, right? So this structure, they have very very fine hair-like structure. Okay, they have fine hair-like structure, and also on that structure there is liquid drop. There is liquid drop. Okay, and these liquid drop are again, they are mucilaginous. That means they are sticky. So what does this will do? The stickiness is helping the trapping of the insects which are floating or which are flying on these plants. So here you can see this fly is now trapped inside this type of structure. This is the one leaf or one side of this plant. Okay, and here you can see they have fine thread-like structure, very fine thread-like structures, and on the top of it there is a liquid-like substances which are mucilaginous. So here once the fly or the insect is coming, they are sitting on that hair-like structures, and there is stimulus is passes throughout the plant, and ultimately this leaf get folded. Okay, this leaf get folded, and inside this leaf the fly is trapped, and this will not be able to come out because this mucus or this sticky substance will not allow it. Okay, they hold it very tightly. So after this process, within very less time, this mucilaginous substance start digesting the fly, and yes, digestion is once completed, this will now again open. Okay, so this plant, this leaf is again open once the digestion is completed, and now they are again ready to trap other insects. Here you can see Venus flytrap. So this is very beautiful structure, but yes, this is insectivorous. As you can see, there is a flap-like structure of this plant. That means they have two parts, and these flaps are able to get folded. That means once the insect or the fly is come in contact with the inner side of this flap-like structures, there is a stimulus that this plant will get, and the response that this plant will do is they will close its flaps. As you can see in this image, this is the closed structure of this flap, and here there is an insect or the fly, and once the flap is get closed, the inner wall of this flap will start secreting the digestive juice, and also there is some chemical substances which are present here, and this will not allow the fly to get out from that trap. So once the digestive juice starts secreted, this fly will start degenerating inside the body of this Venus flytrap, and also at the end of the digestion, the chemicals which are released from this fly are absorbed by the leaf or by the flaps, and from there this Venus flytrap get its nutritions which it not getting from the soil. Here this is very beautiful image of pitcher plant. Okay, so in this structure you can see this is the lid. This structure is known as lid, and here you can see there is a pitcher like structure. pitcher like structure. So how does it works? Once the insect come in contact with the surface of this leaf like structure, it will get slipped down into the bottom of this flap and this lid will get closed. Okay, and also this dark color is attracting, they are worked and also attracting the other flies or insect toward itself. So yes, so this is why they are also the insectivorous plant. They also have digestive juice. Okay, so that is why they will also, again, they are performing the same function as the other insectivorous plant performs. How does pitcher plant catch insect? So this question is also asked. They may be asked in your exams, or you have to be ready for this type of questions, that how this will works. Okay, how the insect get trapped and how the digestion process is being done. So this pitcher plant is also a carnivorous plant, and also they eat plant. There is some points which are on the pitcher plant, like they are carnivorous plant, they eat insect and other animal, and also carnivorous plants grow in soil that has little nitrogen. Okay, this soil, where it grows, there is a less nitrogen content, and that is why they are taking their nitrogen requirement from the other sources, like from insect, from arthropods, from protozoans. So all living things must have nitrogen. Carnivorous plant get nitrogen from the insect they eat. And also the pitcher plant, they are actually modified leaves. Okay, so the leaves of the plant, they are modified into the pitcher like structure, or you can say into a jug like structure, so that these are also, the apex of the leaf is the lid. Okay, we know that there is a petiole system in the leaf, and at the end of the petiole we have the broad leaf. So this petiole, this is known as the petiole of the leaf part. Okay, so this pitcher plant is actually the modified form of this leaf, and especially the petioles of the leaf, and this lid part, this part is used, they are modified into a lid of the pitcher plant. So here, yes, again, the walls of the cup make nectar. Okay, they are sweet in taste. The pitcher walls, they are sweet in taste, and which attract the insects also. As I have told you that the lid and the walls of the pitcher like structure of the pitcher plant, they secrete sweet juice which attract the insects. And once the insect come in contact with this sweet liquid, these are slippery too. Okay, so this slipperiness of the liquid will forced or will helps in the downward movement of the insect, which is now, this insect is now reached at the bottom of the pitcher plant, where the digestive juice are start secreting, and where this will died, the insect get died. So the last one is symbiotic plants. So what are symbiotic plants? Symbiotic plants, it is made up of, they are associative, or they are live with the association of other organisms. And symbiotic plants, they are also take their nutrition and as well as share the shelter with the other plants. So, the plants which live in association with other plants and share shelter and nutrients are called symbiotic plants. So, symbiotic plants, they are always found in pair. So, this association between the two different plants are called symbiotic plants or relationship. So, both the plants benefit from a symbiotic association. Students, as I have told you that in parasitic plant only one species get benefited and the other get died. Okay, only the parasite will get benefited while the host get died in that case in parasitic plants. But here in the symbiotic plants, what will happen, both the species, both the plants, they get benefited from each other, right? So what is it? Let's see. This is the structure of lichen. Here you can see this is the cup like structure which is of the fungus. Okay, and here this greenish structure will represents you the algae, and here this cup like structure is of fungus and this is found on the wood. So this is the structure of lichen. Lichen is also a kind of symbiotic plant in which the fungal part and the algal part, they both are living together and benefited each other. How they will get benefit from each other? Let's see it. So, certain fungi lives in the roots of tree and the tree provide nutrients to the fungus, as you can see here, and in return the fungus provides certain nutrients from the soil to the tree. So in this example, the fungus and the fungi and the root, they are root of the plant or the plant, they are living together. So in which what will happen, the fungus, they are helping the trees by taking nutrients from the soil and giving it to the plant, while in return of this what the plant will do, they will provide shelter to the fungi also. Whereas in the case of lichen, as we have seen in the structure of lichen, that in lichen this is also a symbiotic relationship in which the association between the green alga and the non-green fungus. Here what does it means? See here, the green alga, that means if the alga is green, that means they are able to perform the photosynthesis. Okay, and here the non-green plants, that means they do not perform photosynthesis. So this alga will prepare food, this algae will prepare food, and here this fungus will providing shelter to the algae, and algae in return provide food to the fungus, and alga being green preparing food by the process of photosynthesis. So two things are happening here. The first example which shows us that roots and the fungus, they are live in association with each other and they are benefited each other, while in the next example, in the case of lichen, what will happen, the algae and the fungi both are living together and they are benefited each other. But how they will do this? Because algae is green and that is why they prepare food, while fungus, they provide shelter and they share this each other. So this is the structure of lichen. As you can see here, this green part shows the algae and the whitish appearance you can see here, this is of the fungus. There is another example in which both the organisms are get benefited. This is the example of Rhizobium bacteria. So this is the structure of root nodules, okay, and this nodules is found in the leguminous plants. in the leguminous plant and especially the pulse family. In the pulse family, okay, so what will happen in this root nodules, as you can see in the image, that there are the different structures which are formed in the roots. So how this will develop? Because in the roots of this plant, this leguminous plant, the rhizobium bacteria is grown. The bacteria is grown. Rhizobium bacteria is grown here, and what does it do? They are benefited. They provide benefit to the plant. And how it will do this? Because this rhizobium bacteria is able to fix atmospheric nitrogen, right? So it will fix atmospheric nitrogen into the soil, and from there this root will take the nitrogen from the soil, and in return of this plant will provide shelter to the bacteria. So here both the species get benefited from each other, and that is why they are in the category of symbiotic plants, or they are in the symbiotic association. So thank you students, thanks for watching this video, and keep on studying.